Every conversation begins with one invisible question. Can I control this person? Most people answer it immediately. They defend themselves. They explain. They react. But a few people give no answer at all. And strangely, they're the ones nobody forgets. Because silence doesn't simply hide your thoughts. It changes the way other people's brains work. Today, neuroscience, psychology, and Stoic philosophy all point toward the same unsettling truth. The person who speaks the least often controls the most. I used to think the smartest person always had the best argument. So every disagreement became a performance. I explained, I defended, I justified. I believed more words meant more clarity. Instead, every explanation made me look smaller. The harder I tried to prove myself, the less seriously people took me. Years later, I realized something. Nobody was judging my explanation. They were judging my certainty, and certainty rarely speaks first. The moment someone criticizes you, your brain doesn't hear an opinion. It hears danger. Within milliseconds, your amygdala activates. Stress hormones begin flooding your body. Your heart speeds up. Your breathing changes. Your logical brain slowly loses control. Psychologists call this an amygdala hijack. You believe you're thinking clearly, but your brain is simply trying to survive. The louder an argument becomes, the less intelligence is actually being used. And this is exactly where silent people become dangerous. Because while everyone else's brain is reacting, theirs is still observing. In 2021, neuroscientists at Yale University, led by Joy Hirsch, studied two people while they disagreed in real time. Both brains were scanned simultaneously. What they discovered surprised researchers. Agreement required relatively little mental effort, but disagreement dramatically increased activity inside the frontal cortex. Conflict is incredibly expensive for the brain, which means something almost nobody realizes. If someone forces you into emotional conflict, they've already reduced your ability to think clearly. Now imagine the advantage of the person who refuses to enter that emotional battle. Suddenly, silence isn't passive anymore. It's strategic. Negotiation researchers noticed another strange pattern. The negotiators who paused, sometimes for only 3 seconds, were consistently rated as more confident, more intelligent, and more powerful. Nothing magical happened during those 3 seconds. The silence simply forced everyone else to keep thinking. And this isn't limited to negotiation tables, even in ordinary conversation. Researchers found something similar. A pause as brief as 4 seconds was enough to make people feel a measurable sense of discomfort, even when they couldn't consciously explain why. Human beings hate unfinished information. Our brains crave closure. So when silence appears, people begin filling it themselves. They reveal more, explain more. Sometimes they even expose the truth without realizing it. The silent person didn't manipulate them. They simply allowed the mind to do what it always does. Therapists have a simple acronym: JADE: justify, argue, defend, explain. It describes the exact trap most people fall into. Someone questions your decision. Immediately, you begin explaining everything. Not because they deserve an explanation, because your brain desperately wants relief. But every extra sentence creates another opportunity to attack. Another question. Another objection, another argument. The conversation never ends. The people hardest to manipulate don't escape JADE because they're emotionless. They escape because they no longer need permission to trust themselves. Nearly 2,000 years before neuroscience, the Stoics had already discovered this. Musonius Rufus taught that character needs fewer words than insecurity. The more certain your values become, the fewer explanations your life requires. His student, Seneca, proved that lesson in the most terrifying moment imaginable. When Emperor Nero ordered him to die, Seneca never begged, never argued, never defended himself. He calmly accepted reality, with greater composure than the soldiers carrying out the order. That kind of silence cannot be faked, because true calm comes from a mind that no longer depends on external approval. Modern leadership research tells the same story. Organizational psychologist Adam Grant studied more than 100 business teams. He expected extroverted leaders to perform better. Instead, the opposite happened. When employees were proactive, introverted leaders consistently achieved stronger results. Why? Because they listened. Instead of trying to dominate every conversation, they created space for better ideas to emerge. The loudest voice often controls attention. The quietest mind is often the one leading everyone else. Here's the part almost nobody expects. Silence isn't powerful because other people can't hear you. It's powerful because you can finally hear yourself. The moment you stop chasing approval, you stop giving people the ability to control your emotions. You stop reacting. You start choosing. And once your reactions become choices, your life changes completely. Because the strongest people in any room aren't the ones everyone hears. They're the ones everyone keeps trying to understand. The next time someone demands an explanation, pause. Let the silence breathe. Not to manipulate, not to punish, but to remind yourself that your peace was never meant to ask for permission. Sometimes, the loudest message is the one you never say. If you want to understand the hidden psychology behind human behavior, subscribe to MINDLITHIC. Because the greatest battles are never fought in the world. They're fought inside the mind.